Hey everyone, welcome to Eliahs Cooking Extravaganza. Today I'll be teaching you how to make poor man's pudding. So aptly named because its ingredients are so cheap and easy to find that anyone from the king to the lowly peasants are able to make and enjoy this delicious dessert. So what we're going to do first is we're actually going to I've already pre-separated and measured the ingredients for ease of this presentation. But there's different steps we have to do. To follow the recipe that I got from a friend of mine. They lent me the recipe, and I've changed and adapted it to suit my needs and my preferences. So what we're going to do first is you're going to want to get your oven. I actually got this one from some kind of sketchy gnomes. They got maybe a good deal, gave them a piece of my land, and they gave me a bunch of different instruments they say will help me cook, and it's been going pretty well, a little bit off. So you can actually preset these things at different temperatures. I preset mine at 350 degrees for this. However, the recipe calls for 400 degrees. This is mostly because this oven, I guess the gnome who made it, was a little bit off, and it usually runs a little bit hotter than normal. Letting your oven preheat, you're actually going to first mix your dry materials. So this is actually like a multiple part dessert as you're making it. So first dry. So we have 1 cup of flour. So we're just going to toss it into the bowl. And then we have half a teaspoon of salt and 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Toss those in as well. And you're just gonna mix it up a bit until it's homogeneous. Make it nice and even. You don't want any pockets of salt or anything like that. Super simple. And then we're going to actually mix some of the wet materials as well. So here we have 1/3 cup of butter. Pop that in a separate bowl. And then we're going to add 1 cup of sugar. From there, you're actually going to mix it together. I believe the term is called whipping it. What this does is it breaks down the butter a bit with the sugar to make it almost one fluffy kind of substance. As you see, the butter's not so much butter as before. I should also note that this butter that I use has already been taken out of the icebox and is softened and warmed up a little bit. This just allows for a bit of ease as you're mixing. Otherwise you have hard chunks and it does not go as well. So you see this has changed dramatically. It's no longer the white powder in the sugar or the butter itself. It's changed, put together. And once you've done that, you're going to add 1 cup of milk into the wet mix. And you're going to go ahead and you're just going to mix that together as well. This wets it out, makes it easy so that when you mix in with the dry mix, it is not just clumps of sugar and butter. So we're going to take a little time out with these, and what you want to do is boil a cup of water. So I preheated that, so it should be a short boil. But what we're going to do is be mixing boiling water as well as 1.5 cups of brown sugar and another 1/2 cup of butter, and this is going to make a kind of syrup. So the way that this is going to turn out, as you'll see, is that this is going to make a kind of foundation for it, and the syrup pours over top, and eventually it cooks in and goes underneath it. It's really cool to see how it actually turns out. So letting that boil, we're going to mix the wet and the dry ingredients. So it's just pouring them all over. We're going to try and get sugar in the butter that is kind of left in there. That way you're not wasting anything. Get everything that it calls for. I usually do a little bit with a hard spoon before I switch back over to the whisk, because it gets things moving a little bit. It's the whisk keeps it clean. So you heard the water finished boiling. So the goal as you're mixing this is not only to obviously mix it in, but you want to try and get the lumps out. While after baking it, the lumps usually chunks of butter, they'll melt inside the oven. But if you can get the lumps out beforehand, it just gives it a little bit nicer texture, a bit more even as it's cooking. So just like that, see, almost no bumps, no lumps. It's a nice, even mix. So it's perfect just like that. Get that out of the way. So on a third bowl, and we're going to tuck in our other third cup of butter, as well as a cup and a half of brown sugar. Again, I love brown sugar. It reminds me of sand, except delicious, delicious sand. And we're going to actually do the same thing that we just did. We're going to mix it a bit. This one you don't need to worry nearly as much about getting it whipped and homogeneous, because we're about to add boiling water, which will pretty well break this all down shortly. So, give a couple quick rinse from the milk. You go ahead and you're going to add 1 cup of boiling water. Now, like all other ingredients in this, you can actually vary the exact amounts for your preference. So if you want to have a bit more of the syrup with using less stuff, it'll make it a little bit less sweeter overall, but can give you more volume. So it depends on what you're looking for. So this, we're actually just going to give it a minute, pour it in, let the boiling water melt the butter. So I'm just going to put that right over here. So it does that. And then what you're going to be actually baking with. Get a nice deep pan, because this will rise. I usually put a secondary pan around it in case anything does go over. This is more than big enough to hold 1 serving, so this should have no problem going into it. Now I want to note that as you are mixing these ingredients, you can also add your own little spice or variants into it as well. One thing that I've done in the past, which may or may not be legal where you're living, is added some more unconventional things to help get rid of different, problems. I know if you add cyanide to this, it gives it a very nice, almost almond kind of scent and flavor to it. And you give it to your enemies, and you literally kill them with kindness. It's very nice. Of course, again, if that's not legal near you, don't do it. But it is all personal preference. So this baking bag or basket tray, I'm not sure what to call this. It's a little bit bigger than is necessary for the amount that I'm doing. However, this is the perfect size. It tastes good. That's how you know you're doing it right. No part of this should taste bad. So, having let this melt, see there's no chunks of butter in it. Just give it a little stir and make sure it's nice and homogeneous. And after having spread this out all over it, I'm actually going to want something like this. It doesn't have to be ladles, just anything that's kind of like smooth and will help reduce spray, because what I'm going to do is we're going to pour the syrup all over this. But if you do it directly on top of the base, then you can actually like almost punch holes in it. So you pour it onto something flat, something like this, and it'll spread it around, make it not as much force as it's hitting. So if you want to watch, it's just nice and slow, nice and light. So a couple other things to watch out for as you're doing this is whether or not your working surface is level or not. If it's not level, a lot of the syrup will pool in one side, and you want to make sure so that it does not do that as you're baking, because it will change, I'd say, where a lot of the flavor is when it's done baking. So you see mine is a little bit slanted over in this direction here as it's kind of pooling. So before I put it in the oven, I'm just going to want to make sure to balance it back out. I'm going to give this a nice good coating. Lots of syrup to go. Now depending on what you use, you may or may not have this much of a spread of it, or you may have a thicker pool of syrup over top. So let's do that. Good enough bit. Then you want to make sure that nothing is in danger of getting hit by the heat from the oven as you're doing this. Safest, of course, always use oven mitts or the skin of your enemies, things like that, things that will help protect your hands from the heat. If you had a Druid friend, flame blade, iron skin, perfect things to use. And you just want to put this right inside. You want the middle shelf as close to as you can. And so we're going to bake it for about 35 to 40 minutes. Again, the recipe does call for 400 degrees, but because this oven runs a bit higher, mine's at 350. So cooking time can vary depending on your machine, what you use to cook with it, whether you're using an oven or standing there and using fireballs, heating the metal around it, things like that. It'll vary. So while we're waiting for that to cook, we're actually going to cut and go to a break. We have a few messages we want to show you, and then when we come back, we'll show you this coming out of the oven. Be right back. Are you tired of getting murdered in battle?
Dead.
Do you wish you had some way to survive for longer?
Yes.
Well, now's your chance. Talk to Paige Eliah, the Druid. I've got many ways to help you survive longer in battle. Are you ready, Apollo? Come here. Come here, get ready. I'm going to give you all kinds of enchantments that make you so much better. What's this going to allow you to do? Do you know? Do you know? I can do things like let you only become frozen for a short amount of time instead of dying, with the ability to regenerate limbs if you lose them, the ability to kill someone with a single hit if they have no armor, the ability to break armor, being immune to magic. Think of being immune to me telling you to sit. I command you to sit, Apollo. See? If I gave you lycanthropy, you ignored that. The ability to crush shields. All it takes is some money. Just a little bit of money, of course. For the low price of a lot of your shine and some of your Goldenvale coin. I'll be able to help you survive any battle, complete any objective, destroy any enemy you need. So don't hesitate. Send me a carrier pigeon. I accept smoke signals, or preferred is messengers or different, some forms of communication like that. But anything like that, come on down to my lands up in Felfrost, and I will definitely hook you up. Make sure you're sweet, set, good to go, and that you will be almost invincible in the field of battle, assuming you know how to dodge a dispel. Thanks. I'll be seeing you at my shop. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed those messages from our sponsors. So it's just about time. We're going to take it out of the oven. If you want to come over here, just quick take a look at what you're looking for. Mine's a bit lower, so you see nice, it's like a golden brown on the top. You can see the syrup bubbling around the sides, so let you know it's done. Now again, personal preference, you can let it cook a little bit longer, a little bit more crispy top if you'd like to. I prefer mine soft and gooey, so you just take it out, look at that, oh it's a beauty. Obviously, make sure you have your hand protection, or iron skin, choice, whatever works for you. Now this is obviously too hot to try right now, so what we're going to do is just let it sit and cool off for a little bit. Shouldn't take long. All you really need is it for it to stop being, the syrup needs to stop boiling. But as soon as that's done and you believe that if it's at a temperature that you're good to eat it at, you can go ahead, try a bite. We're actually going to have our lovely camera lady here. She's going to be my taste tester for the day, which we will show momentarily. So we just let it cool down a little bit there. So what we do now is we're going to just plate it. So as you're doing it, you can see, if you want to come a bit closer, you see that the syrup's actually gone underneath it. So it's on the edges there, but it's actually underneath it. So if you get the nice, almost floury up top, but if you look at the bottom, it's nice and gooey. You get the syrup there. So as you're plating it, be generous in your helping. Of course, it depends on who is going to have it. It's gonna be my piece, so it's gonna be a nice good chunk. Just solid size piece there. Now, obviously, again, personal preference of how much you want, how you want to make it. Some people do, in fact, like it a bit crunchier on the outside, so they leave it in. Let this get to be a nice darker brown instead. I've even seen some peasants decide to burn it and say they like it like that, but it's all personal choice. We look at that. So pull out some pork. Now, it might still be a little bit hot, but my lovely camera lady will switch with me, and she's going to go ahead and try some. Check, make sure it might be hot.
A little toasty.
Should we give it a little bit longer before we do a proper testing?
Yep, I would definitely recommend letting it cool for a few minutes so you don't burn the inside of your mouth. Luckily, Eliah here is a druid, and he can probably help remedy this.
Yes, I can. So we'll take another couple minute pause as it cools down a little bit safer, so it's a bit safer to eat, and we'll be right back. Well, now that I've enchanted Elizabeth with Iron Skin, give her protection, full immunity to flame, so now she's going to try dessert. What do you think of it when your mouth is not full? Can you describe it at all?
It has a really unique consistency that I haven't seen in a lot of other desserts. You have this nice blending of this almost caramel syrup here, mixing with, it's not quite a bread-like consistency, but it's a very light, fluffy sort of cake. And it's quite good, the nice blending of textures that we have going on here. And the flavor is also simply amazing.
So, you've seen it here. Poor man's pudding, of course. A delicious, cheap, easy to make. Now, of course, if you are interested in making this, feel free to try it at home. Follow the instructions in the video I gave you. If you would like more help, more details, feel free to let me know. Send me a message. Send a messenger, easy enough, or just come visit. I'd be happy to show you as I'm, showing you my enchanting wares. So, of course, that'll be it for today. Again, take your time, make sure that you make it the best that you can, and that was Paige Eliahs Cooking Extravaganza. I will see you later.